tēnā tātou katoa, nau mai, haere mai, ki tēnei rā whakahirahira, Tech Week 2022, and today I'm proud to be joined by some of Māoridim's most inspiring movers and shakers in the tech space, and are also fellow finalists in the High Tech Awards. Nō reira e tiwi, nau mai, haere mai, welcome to Tech Week 2022, where I'm joined by these amazing humans who are going to talk to us about the work that they're doing out in the community, and also being just amazing on what they do. So first up, I'm just going to pass the rako over to you, Henare, and a big mihi to our whānau from Callan Innovation, who have brought this special group of humans together for this particular panel. E hoa, Henare, can you tell us no hea koe, and also what is your role in Callan Innovation?
Kia ora rā e te iwi, no mirupara ahau, Ngāti Manawa, Ngāti Whare, tūhoi oku iwi, Henare Johnson taku ingoa. So my role at Callan Innovation is Chief Māori and Government Engagement. With the Māori component, it's really about, at the moment, I've been with the organisation 2 months now, so pretty green. And so I'm looking at opportunities where we can engage with Māori and co-design what a Māori strategy or a partnership strategy with Callan Innovation and Māori businesses, iwi, hapu, whānau look like. So yeah, it's a pretty steep learning curve, but really keen to take the opportunities. I suppose for me, I wasn't really interested in science when I was at high school, and there were two things I was really bad at, science and sports. What I was good at was lunch. But my 2 months with Callan Innovations absolutely flipped how I think about science. I think it's the challenges with my role particularly outweighed by the opportunities that science and technology and engineering and all those sectors offer Māori. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me. Awesome.
Well, look, I think that's really important to hear. Often when we think about science, technology, it's not usually a place where Māori are seen, but I believe that's not actually true. And so our first kai kōrero for the day, Jeremy, you are the leader of Plink Technologies. You've got an amazing vision, an amazing kaupapa dedicated to lifting up te reo, whakapapa and whānau through your platform. Can you tell us where you're from and also the vision behind Plink Technology?
Ka pai. Tuataia ki rā, ka mihi ki a koe te tuahine i tō kaha ki roto i tēnei ao mā te hiko Māori, ka kitea. O te rā ki a Callan Innovation o ka mihi ki a koutou, e tautoko ana i tēnei reanga on te High Tech Awards, o te rā tēnā tātou koutou e matakitaki mai nei. Ko ai tēnei he uri tēnei no te tauiho te waka Māui, no tainui waka no Ngāti Rārua, no kura haupo waka no Ngāti Apa ki te rā tō rangitāne Ngāti Kuia, e hononga anō kina iwi katoa te tauihu. Ko Jeremy Banks tōku ingoa, tēnā tātou. Yeah, Plink software really is about trying to use technology in a way that can help connect Māori to their identity using the vehicles of video and whakapapa. We think it's really important to provide that opportunity and to use some of our tools of te ao huri nei in a way that really help to benefit our people. And so that's what gets us out of bed and excited every day. Kia ora.
Amazing. And for yourself, e hoa, in Hyde, you're involved in training and the construction business, and I'm very interested again to know where you're from, but also how do you use technology to help amplify your mahi in the world?
Kia tātou, nā mai haere mai, ko wana takawinga, ko Ngāti Pau takaiwi, ko Rāhui Takomorai, no Tukitiki ahau. Ko wana takawinga, I'm the CEO and founder of Hyde, and we do a couple of things. Basically, we help organisations buy large pieces of infrastructure, so we come from an engineering background, water, roads, rail, those types of things. And we also help organisations pitch and win government contracts across New Zealand and Australia. So one of the challenges we're struggling with at the moment is how do we help apply the concepts of social procurement, or how do we engage Māori within the procurement process. So our mission within Hyde is how do we democratise procurement, how do we make it available for everyone, And also, how do our purpose is about building relationships and creating mana. So how do we get a buyer and supplier together to create mana, but not just within the transaction, but within the broader concept of te ao Māori. So how do we, through a construction activity, generate jobs, engage local Māori businesses, or improve the environmental quality. So that's our kaupapa at the moment. That's what we're focused on.
Awesome. Mean kaupapa. And kia ora hoa, I know that you have come to join us. Your business partner is away at the moment, but it's amazing that you've come to share your kaupapa. Tell us where you're from and also the vision behind your business.
Ka pai. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Mauao Te Moanga, ko Sam Ahau. So my name's Sam Vai. I'm one of the team at Plink Technologies, and we're focused on developing automated systems and engineering for conservation, biosecurity and biodiversity. Our team is realistically, one of our core principles is kaitiaki tanga, so all about guardianship of our environment and how do we develop the necessary tools and technology to enable Aotearoa to look after our environment, our forests and our bushes.
Amazing. Now, whānau, one of the things that's very important about Tech Week and the opportunity for increasing Māori participation in tech, I'm going to stretch that out a little bit and say actually the opportunity here is how might we see Māori, whānau Māori, hapu, iwi flourish in technology. So for you, E Mara Jeremy, can you tell us how do you apply Mātauranga Māori principles in your business?
Ka pai. Well, I feel very fortunate in that that's what we do all day, every day. And so being in a space where we work with reo, with tikanga, with Whakapapa, it's really fundamental to what we do. And so for us, it's not just about something that we like to do or want to do, actually it's something we need to do. We work in a high trust space with all of the runanga trusts that we work with, and frankly we kind of don't get in the door if we can't demonstrate to them that their whakapapa, their data is safe with us, that we're going to look after it, that we're going to show it the appropriate amount of respect. So it's equally exciting and scary. It's a space where we love being in, we love working in, but you do feel a weight of responsibility. You don't want to be the one that the auntie singles out because you've dropped the ball on something there. So that's always a space that's equal parts exciting and scary.
Yeah. Awesome. So what I'm hearing there is the importance of whānau, keeping it real, keeping us focused, and ensuring that the product or the platform that you're developing is fit for purpose, but most importantly that those that you love and care about are not going to give you a boot in the behind because they're not happy with what you've produced. So that's really interesting. For you, e hoa, in regards to Hyde, you said that you wanted to enhance mana and also help increase procurement opportunities for Māori. How do you apply Māori values or principles within Hyde, and how does that impact your delivery as a company?
Well, I think values are the integral part of what we do as a business. So having those very well defined, we know what they are. Making sure that we recruit people that have the aligned values with us. One of the things we've also been really aware of, in particular around Whakapapa and the importance of family within our business. And in particular, what we've got is a number of people that, particularly mums returning to work, we've created a safe place for them to come back and flexibility of time. Also a veteran-owned business, so we've got 7 veterans that work as part of our business, so we've tried to create an environment where in an engineering world, we've taken on people that aren't traditionally engineers, but actually understanding that they can add value in a different way. So it really comes down to, at the heart of it, creating a place where values are important. We try and hold ourselves to account, and actually vulnerability is important as well. So being comfortable within our team that it's okay not to know what you need to know and be able to ask those questions. So it's a really integral part. And that at the heart of it is around how we apply Mātauranga Māori, te ao Māori within our business. Has been very clear around our vulnerability being a strength and uncertainty.
That's awesome. So you create a really supportive workplace, whānau, looking after whānau, but also creating opportunities for mama, mothers to be able to come into the workplace and contribute to the growth of your business. In regards to how does technology amplify what you do, can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so at the heart of it, we're actually a professional services business. And so our journey into tech has been more around how do we get away from selling time to actually being able to productise what we do. So it's a little bit of a different journey. So we've already known that there's an opportunity here. So our tech journey is actually around looking to productise and digitise those experiences, and we had our first foray into that last couple of years. But actually some of the most high-tech things we have are the most simplest tools. So one of the best tools we've got is a basic matrix that allows us to provide a te ao Māori perspective on a construction and procurement activity. It looks across a couple of PO, environment, community, economic, society. And what's interesting about that is that it allows us to simply identify where that potential sits, so we can apply that thinking in a generally conservative construction environment. So our tech journey is not necessarily high tech. Some of the most impactful tech we have is very low tech. Yeah.
It sounds like you've got one of the most important tech, which is human technology. So relationships, nurturing, connecting, and ensuring that people understand what's going on in front of them, but also, as you said earlier, the importance of creating jobs to support whānau households, which is one of the fastest ways to transform not only our local economy, but also our realities as whānau. Ihoa, you mentioned earlier that you want to help make Aotearoa a more thriving space because our environment is healthier through the automated technology that you do. How do you think, particularly your business partner who is Māori, and you also have advisors that support you in your work, how does that mātauranga, that knowledge, influence the design of your technology and the way that you approach your work?
Yeah, good question. So we've got amazing engineers and amazing scientists, but actually that's fine for product development, but you actually, when you're trying to solve a problem, i.e., let's say remove all rats from Aotearoa, or let's try and plant 1 billion trees, understanding the original, all of the background, the knowledge, the historical Mori knowledge of Aotearoa's forests is so pertinent. So actually, one of our key ways where we look to solving environmental problems is actually looking at is partnering and communicating with Mori and trying to understand exactly, okay, what is the traditional knowledge and how can we incorporate that into our product development in order to come up with a better solution. So that includes, guys from around the country, organisations around the country, as well as our Mori team members in-house as well. Awesome.
Now, Henare, you talked earlier again about science not being your most favourite topic, but being in a space that helps activate and support Māori innovation, such as Callan. What do you see as the greatest opportunities that you think Callan could offer whānau hapu iwi to enter into the research and development space?
Yeah, well, with Callan Innovation, we pitch ourselves as the innovation agency of Aotearoa. And so what does that mean for Māori? It means quite a lot. I mean, with a lot of engineers and scientists that we have in-house, they do awesome work, and we've got great stories working with Māori businesses, Māori entities. What we're not good at is storytelling, and so that's where the Māori kaupapa content comes in with, thousands of years of being great storytellers and being able to incorporate that into the as a skill set within Callan Innovation. So with the strategy that we'll be looking to develop is bringing that skill set into Callan Innovation's, I suppose, product suite. Be able to profile ourselves more with Māori, show the human side to what Callan Innovation's about, earn the trust. What we don't have at the moment perceived is that with us being a government entity, it's like, damn, if you think you got problems dealing with the auntie, imagine working for government and then having all the aunties ring you. So what we're trying to do is just profile ourselves with Māori entities and say that, we are a safe entity to work with. And we've got an awesome Māori Economy team that we will you will be seeing a lot more over the coming years with what we're doing in this space. And I think there was a point made about ensuring that the values are shared. Just in my experience the last 2 months, especially with iwi and whānau entities, they won't go into a relationship with you, particularly if you're in the government entity, unless you share the values. So we have to do a lot more homework, a lot more research on what those values mean, both to us as an organisation, and then how we can connect with those values, because those values are intergenerational, their environment, their social, and there's a perception, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, but there's a perception that Māori aren't commercial. But I don't believe that. I think we're one of the most commercial-driven people. It's just we need the platforms to be able to share those stories to grow the Māori economy, but also that's a big economy that we can help grow for the rest of Aotearoa. So I suppose with Callan Innovation, our biggest opportunity is to be a safe platform in which Māori own the stories, Māori share those stories, and Māori benefit from those stories being shared on the Callan Innovation platform.
Awesome. I guess there's an opportunity, e hoa mā, that if you are seeking funding or support in research and innovation, holler at the brother here, but also to navigate the process also takes a bit of time, which these three panellists will know, being part of the Callan portfolio, what it takes to actually go through the steps. So for you, Jeremy, with Plink, can you give us a live example of how you feel your software is helping to transform the lives of whānau?
Ka pai. So one of the coolest things that we do is when we merge some of our traditional learning mechanisms with technology, and so we run Whakapapa wānanga, which are fantastic. We go back to the marae, we're in the whare tūpuna, we can use our technology to create resources for people and use the technology live as well to explore connections between people, but do it in a safe way. And so we recognise that some of our traditional learning mechanisms have broken down, that the impact of colonisation has left us in a fairly tenuous place for some of our traditional mechanisms for transmitting knowledge. And so it's really being able to merge some of those ways with new technology in a way that can ensure we can do it effectively going forward, that we can reach more people. And so when you're in a space where you're in your whare tūpuna and you give someone their whakapapa, which they've been searching for their whole life, it's one of the most impactful things that you can do, seeing the look on their face, seeing the tears streaming down their face as they connect back to something that they've been trying to do for a long time. It's a lot of fun.
It's amazing, and I think it's wonderful to be able to have a system that enables families to not lose their whakapapa or lose those stories and access to genealogy. And for you, you're a homeboy, so you've been nurtured in the kāinga, and you've also been very proactive with your iwi. How has your tribe really supported the growth of your business?
I mean, everything's networking, right? So, 2 degrees of separation in New Zealand. We're based in Whakatū. 2 degrees is generous down there. And so we all do work. We bump into each other a lot. We're, of course, going through that post-settlement phase where we all figure out how we connect, how we work together, how we look to maybe decolonise some of those spaces that we've got to, because the processes that have got us there have forced us to be a little bit like that. And so we're spending a lot of time, looking at the importance of hapu and whānau and what that used to look like, not just what it's become because of the processes that we've gone through. And so there's a huge amount of opportunity. We still have capacity issues. So as you throw your hand up and you have a bit of capability, you get pulled in a lot of different directions. And so, certainly there's been a lot of involvement through the whānau whānui with what we do. People are very keen to work with you. We do some work with Ngāti Kuia, which is one of my hapu, one of my iwi, and they have a really strong whānau first procurement policy, which is just awesome. If there's someone in the whānau that can do it, they get the job. It's as simple as that. We get together for our contractor Christmas event, and it's 60 whānau members sitting around having a kai, and that's how it should be, and that's what we should look to try and build going forward.
Yeah, that's a really important point, because often people will say, but that's nepotism. But actually, that's smart business. Mm-hmm. That's commercially sound, that if you're enabling whānau the opportunity to show their capability to deliver a service, to be able to give back to their iwi and do a great job, that's a win-win. So I think that's a really unique opportunity that Māoridom can bring into the tech space is the 2 degrees of separation, how important relationships are in enabling and amplifying opportunity. And also, I love this whānau first procurement policy by Ngāti Kuia, that's very smart. And perhaps other iwi and hapu might be able to take on that procurement approach. For you, Ehua, in regards to procurement and creating opportunities for whānau to get into construction, what are your top 4 tips for people that might be watching and saying, hey, how do I get involved in these kind of tier 1, tier 2 opportunities?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I suppose we should tell a story about that, a real one. There's a business we've been working with up in Kirikiri, Māori business, who can build high-end housing in the Bay of Islands, really good at that, but is not theoretically competent or qualified to build state housing in Kaikoui. So there's a bit of a disconnect there. So there's 2 things around that. We help these businesses understand where they sit. So one of the really important things is how do we communicate value as a Māori business? I think it's really important. If we're building state housing in an area that's predominantly filled with our people, then we've got a connection there. We can ensure that we understand the process around that and engage with that community. The other thing is understanding how we position ourselves commercially and cost-wise. So one of the things we've got to be really cognizant of is we don't have to be the cheapest. So we should all actually be trying to push forward to make sure that there is some value in what we do, and actually being Māori is a bit of a superpower. That's really important. And the other thing I think is really important is around the confidence to participate in the process of a traditional procurement mindset. So those are what we call the 4 Cs. That's critical to what we do. On the flip side, we're trying to, when we work with our buying agencies, is to really promote engagement with Māori and also Pacific and small businesses in general. So if I give you a really good example, we're working with Wellington City Council to look at some civil works on their network, and what we're looking at is things like verbal RFIs, requests for information. How do we remove the barriers around the tender process and make it available and not corporatise such there's a large expense. So there's lots of things we're looking at around how do we democratise the procurement process.
That's awesome. Do you think that the bar for Māori to enter into the procurement space is a lot higher in regards to your application is looked at more closely? There may be a bias perhaps that Māori can't potentially do the job required. So how do you keep lifting the quality of the whānau applicants so that they are as competitive and as awesome as anybody else?
Well, I think at the heart of it, what's really important, you've got to be good at your trade first and foremost. So you win these opportunities on the basis of your competency and your core capability, whether it be a builder or a contractor or whatever. And then your ability to be Māori or work within that Māori world is a value add that you should be charging for. So in answer to your question, I don't see that. I see the challenge around government procurement being a challenge in the fact that it naturally aligns with those corporate entities that have the resources and all this big raft of track record in order to participate within that tender process. So it precludes not only Māori, it precludes Pacific, it precludes women, it precludes veterans, it precludes small business in general. So what it does require is a mindset shift within those organisations to look at smaller businesses as a legitimate supplier. And in a really resource-constrained world in which we are now, that's really critical just to maintain our core infrastructure and build things that we need to. So this is not about being politically correct. It's actually we must do this. It's really important.
Amazing. Tell us, if we were to parachute ourselves into your world for a moment, because I'd really like you to bring your technology to life, because you talk about, automating the regeneration of the environment through what you do. Give us an insight as to what is it actually that your automated technology does.
Good chance for an elevator pitch, I guess. Our technology, we've got various different programs, but it's all around either removing invasive species from the environment or helping native afforestation, native forest restoration come back into say unproductive land or areas where where we can get trees in the ground. So in fact right now one of the reasons that that my colleagues aren't available to be here today, and I'm in their place, is that they're stuck in a Pacific island right now, UNESCO World Heritage Site, getting rid of rat species to save the indigenous species on that island. And they're doing it with drones, and they're actually killing rats, eradicating rats on this island using drones. So, and that's technology that we've developed and we're applying around the world as well as in New Zealand. So yeah, we've got a variety of different programs: automated drones for the sky, as well as automated rat traps on the ground, as well as native seed pods automated from the air by drone for native forestry restoration.
Awesome. Oh, well, kia ora tātou. Hey, look, thank you so much for joining us today. It's now time for us to farewell these amazing finalists in the High Tech Awards. Firstly, I just want to do a big mihi to Henare and the team of Callan who've been able to bring this amazing panel here to Tāmaki Makaurau. To each of you, I wish you all the best for a great outcome for the High Tech Awards. We were having a little bit of a laugh because they were actually competing against each other. But as Māori do, because it's 2 degrees of separation, it's actually a collegial way of competing. And because when one of us win, we all do. So I think it's really a wonderful opportunity to learn more about these amazing Māori-led businesses that are doing great work in the revitalisation of te reo and also the capturing of whakapapa through Plink software. Hyde and their team in helping to support and amplify opportunity in procurement and construction and engineering opportunities, and also Innovators Technologies, who are helping to ensure and protect our indigenous forests, to protect us from rats and possums and all the other ugly nasties, and the fact that your Māori colleague has helped foster and nurture this business to support our ngahere, our forests. Nō reira, e hoa mā, thank you very much for joining us today. We're going to be passing the rākau back to my co-host Rosalie, and I'll be seeing you later on this morning at 11:40 to be able to talk with the changing face of ANZ. Mori ora kia tātou.